here's the statement from John Swinton. Now, Swinton had this attributed to him at several different time periods in history, and the documentation isn't totally solid as to when and where it was said, or even that much information about Swinton. But this tells the truth. He said, and this was at a gathering of newspaper people to pass out certain honors among themselves. There is no such thing at this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it, and I know it. There is not one of you who dares to write your honest opinions, and if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinion out of the paper I am connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out on the streets looking for another job. If I allowed my honest opinions to appear in one issue of my paper, before 24 hours my occupation would be gone. The business of the journalist is to destroy the truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of Mammon, and to sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it, and I know it. And what folly is this toasting an independent press? We are the tools and vassals of rich men behind the scenes. We are the jumping jacks. They pull the strings and we dance. Our talents, our possibilities, and our lives are all the property of other men. We are intellectual prostitutes. And that is 100 times more true today than whenever he said it. So it's very important to get alternate sources of information on the internet, sites like Alex Jones' InfoWars, LouRockwell.com, the American Free Press, the John Birch Society's publication, The New American, which is very good in those areas that they choose to identify themselves with, and of course libertarian publications such as Libertarian Party News, and again, as I said, lp.org and lpo.org, and Reason Magazine and Liberty Magazine. Get alternate sources of information, whether or not they're libertarian, as long as they don't follow the party line, the two-party system, the international banksters' view of the economy and everything else. Nobody's right all the time, but if you get enough alternative sources and compare them with each other, you're going to get a lot closer to the truth. Also, another excellent proposal is the American Sovereignty Restoration Act. This is Ron Paul's bill, H.R. 1146, to get the United States out of the United Nations and the United Nations out of the United States. The United Nations was founded by communists. It's been run by communists. It wants to create a world government. If it gets taxing power through efforts such as the Law of the Sea Treaty, which would put all of the world's oceans, 70% of the area of the earth, under the UN, if it gets an independent military force, it could very well lead to world government. And if our chances of straightening out Washington, D.C. are very, very difficult, our chances of straightening out a world government, if that is ever established, are impossible. In the last century, you had horrible examples, such as the 60 million killed in the Soviet Union, the 70 million killed in Mao's China, and other hundreds of millions killed, not only in wars, but by their own governments. H.R. Rummel's book, Death by Government, is an excellent, excellent book. If the UN comes to establish a world government where there is no resistance, or where resistance has been very, very limited, then there is little hope to restore liberty in our lifetime, or possibly for centuries to come. So we must oppose the UN. Some of us used to get together at the Richfield Town Hall years ago on the Saturday nearest, what the enemy calls UN Day, and what we call Get Us Out of the UN Day. The reason the city of Richfield was chosen was that the ambassador to the UN at that time in around 1970, who was George Bush, who unfortunately later became president, and his son did, tried to establish Richfield as a sister city of another, and make the Richfield a UN city, flying the UN flag. We used to get together to oppose that at one time or two. I think there was actually some rapid oxidation of the UN flag. It would be nice to get that going again for this year.
Yeah, I burned one.
Yes, I was there, and I enjoyed watching it. It was fun. We should do it again. Do you have any questions for me, Gary?
No, but you know what, Dave? We're getting to the end here, and I know you want to play this song. So let's.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll play our disclaimer, and we'll come back up with the song here in just a second. Hey, thank you very much for attending today and for donating to WRUW.
Of the Anglo-Boer War, a handful of Boers stood their ground against the full might of the British Empire. Their farms burnt to the ground, their women and children dying in concentration camps. They were led by a patriotic South African general named Douce de la Rey. It was much like our own revolution against the British imperialists. 346,000 British against approximately 80,000 Boers, or farmers, like our founding, much like our Minutemen and the others. In times like these, legends are born. I'm going to read the English translation as the song goes. British had used concentration camps. The Spanish beat the Cuba by a few years in Cuba, but this was one of the first uses. On the go see this on the internet so you can watch the ending of it. In the end, he frees his wife and child from the concentration camp. We can do that too.
Well, Dave, thanks again for coming back, or coming down, and being a contributor here to WRUW. So thanks again.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to doing it again
Why don't you
sometime.
spell that Del Rey so they know what to look up?
That's capital D-E, capital L-A, capital R-E-Y. Just go to YouTube and put in Del Rey song with English subtitles.
Of course, the views and opinions expressed are those of the producers, and not necessarily those WRUW FM, its staff, management, or students. So, yeah, thanks, Dave.